these women are abused,
Yes.
emotionally, mentally, or even physically
Hmm.
abused. The statement that just stuck with me, but is not more interesting. I wanted the 2025 thing is really interesting, but that wife spanking.
Wife spanking.
I just
Have you
was
heard of
like,
that
oh
one?
my
No,
God. And she
no.
says, like,
I don't
some,
know whether that applied to black women.
so, okay. So, anyway,
One, two, three, four.
Hi.
hi, how are you?
Hello, hello. We are here. I feel so good.
I do too, Shawnee. Well done. Well
Thank
done.
you.
And
You
mom,
know,
happy birthday.
happy
Well,
birthday,
thank
Mom.
you. Thank
Let's
you.
raise a glass.
Let's
Let's
raise the
raise a
glass.
glass. So, you know these
Yes.
glasses, Cherie? These are mom and dad's anniversary glasses.
Those are fancy. I love that. I love that you have both of them still.
Both of them still. This one is, oh, Mom, you should drink this one. Or do you want to drink the one that
I
says
don't care.
Fitz?
Let me drink Fitz and he can
Okay, well,
drink
you
the
have
other.
Fitz and I have
I
Linda.
I broke one of mine.
I don't even know if I had one.
Those were the days that they
Oh,
just knew how to do it.
those were the days. So,
No,
see, that's
yeah. See
Fitz.
it now. You know,
And what's the date? April 13th,
13,
1963 was
Woo,
a good year.
woo, a good year.
So,
my goodness.
Mom is 88 years
Yeah.
fabulous today, right? It's 88.
Is it?
That's what we were trying to figure
Well,
out.
wait a minute.
Oh,
Do
because
the
see,
math.
I was surprised at 40.
Wait, Mom, you were born. Okay. Wait,
I'm
just
born in
I don't do
1938,
the I don't
Cherie.
do
Do the
the
that's how
math.
I
math.
do it. Wait, I think she's 87. Two, but she
No,
might be.
because I'm already 47. Because I always thought you were 40 years older than me.
Mommy, you're 87.
Is she 87?
1938, right? That's
Yeah.
her birth. 2025. Okay.
Hmm.
And she turned, so that's
Well, did
87.
you have me at 39? Because I always
I had you
my
very late.
story is that I
I
was the
had you
surprise
very
at
late.
40.
You
So
were.
Well,
how old was Mom when she
it's what
had me?
America is in the middle of, a reckoning of our real story versus what we tell ourselves.
It's such a great, it flows so nicely. I was just surprised at 40. Boom.
You were a surprise,
Well,
darling.
I was a
I
surprise.
think I think what happened, she had you, I don't know. I
I
don't
was
know.
born in 1977. So do that math.
Okay.
In Fort
Okay.
Leavenworth, Kansas.
Yes, conceived on the Bicentennial Trail.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. You were.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh,
See?
wait. Okay. Yeah. All right. I was doing the wrong thing.
Well,
I was like,
it
wait,
is part of my story.
1977 minus 1939.
I,
39?
30, 39. Dad was
Oh, I
41.
was like,
So
where
he
did I
was,
get the
and
40
he's
from?
so bigger than life. He's the
I was
yeah,
one
but
like,
giving,
where did I get
it's
the
all
okay,
about
so
him.
dad was
because
40 and you were 39?
he's 2 years older than me.
He was 41.
I was just
So
surprised
you
it
were
broke
here
through at
before from
41.
Dad.
41 and 39. Okay, I will augment my story a little bit, but yes, that's the
That,
thing.
I can't
So
Yeah.
stand.
so we are mom's hair is too straight for her. Yesterday you loved it, Mom, it's fine.
I
Yeah,
don't understand. So,
Oh,
Mom, it was fabulous
it was
yesterday.
fabulous
Today,
yesterday.
so do you not want to go back to Gerald?
yes, I do. I did. Yes, I do. I don't know what to do with the straight hair. No, I'm
Well,
used
you
to my
can't
hair
help what
having
you were
body to it.
given in the
Your hair
womb.
has more body than what I'm used to seeing it,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay.
And it'll get a little thicker as the
Well, I
days
know it
go
will
by.
as it.
Yeah. I'm just
Okay.
not used to seeing it that short. So no more going to
Yeah,
the lady who kept chopping your
it
hair.
is short.
Well, they don't
Yeah.
chop my hair here.
Well, no, she
It
went when
is
you went
short.
down there. Because
Yeah,
it was chopped. Your hair's never been that short,
No.
yeah.
but it'll grow.
It's
It
gonna
grows
be,
very
yeah,
quickly.
yeah. Well, if she can take seeing her, if she can take it for this visit, I don't know.
Yes,
I
I
don't know
know,
if
because
she'll be
I'm
able to
just,
take it. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know if she'll be able to take it. But
I'm going to take it
you're
because
gonna take it.
this is what I need
Yes.
to do for
So
you
this
all.
is a special between sisters. Hi
yeah.
everyone, I'm Chantel. This is Cherie, and this is our lovely mom who's 87 years fabulous today.
Yes.
March 28th.
Mom, you're allowing her to tell your
Well,
business
I mean, because
like
that's
that?
part of the
That, you know, I have
celebration.
never,
Shawnee, you can say happy birthday to mom and celebrate mom without being all up in her age.
I
yeah, but
always
Cherie,
say the
I've
age.
never
You know, I'm
hit
not
my
one of
age.
those that
I'm
don't
one of
say my
those who
age.
appreciate
I
what
say
you
I
my
do.
do
age
too.
too,
I know,
I'm
but
looking forward to 55. That's a
Chantel,
big
I
year.
always say my
Yeah.
age. However, when I said my age from the pulpit on Sunday, your mother was like, "Why do you keep telling people I have a child who's 60 years old?"
Because your age was reflecting her age. Is that what was
I
happening?
think
no,
that's what was.
because I wanted them to think that I had a child at an earlier age than I was. Because
Ma,
I was a
you,
late bloomer.
oh my gosh.
So if
I,
you,
I don't
you
even know
know,
what to say to
had
that.
I been about
I think that's
27,
actually very,
26 when I had you, or 20, that,
Mommy, you
that
were
Hilarious.
living very
speaks for good
progressive
then.
back there
Yeah.
in that day and age. I think that
Yeah.
was fabulous that
Yeah.
you can run out at 15 and go have some babies or 20 and go have some babies. You actually you knew who you
Yeah, but
were.
I knew I wasn't
You're a
ready to have
woman.
babies.
And
You are a
thank you
grown
that you
woman.
waited until you were ready. We
Yes,
appreciate that, your
you
children.
do.
We really do. We appreciate that. So,
Not diminishing any of the young mothers out here
no, not
at all.
No,
At
diminishing, not
all.
no.
diminishing. Everyone, just do it when you're ready.
And
You
your
know,
and your
Now,
try
all
to
time.
my friends
do
have
it when
had,
you're ready.
shoot, I think Claudine had 2 or 3 babies by the time I got.
Start what you want.
Hmm.
Yes, yes.
All righty.
Well, so let's see.
Mhm.
I have some news that
Mhm.
we can use.
Okay.
I have some news that we can use
News.
this week. Let me put it on up on my smartphone.
Mhm.
Um, I received a text this morning that was sharing something that is really it was an article from the Financial Post, which says, and it's warning people to stock up on toilet paper.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
That is definitely new.
Yes,
Yes, because
really?
toilet paper. Because of Trump's tariffs on Canadian lumber, it's a risk to the toilet paper.
yes.
Um, and so I was like, gosh, not the toilet paper again, because it was rough during COVID.
Yeah. You know what I told Lorenzo? Because apparently there's a special they grow a special tree in Canada that's really their pulp is good for
Right.
toilet paper. I told Lorenzo last night, I said, you know what? People are going to be taking trips across the border like to Canada like they were doing to get their drugs, their cheap
Yes.
drugs. I was like,
Yes.
Lorenzo, it'll be cheaper to go to Canada, load up on the toilet
Toilet
paper,
paper.
and then come back. It's like, where are you going
Yes.
for vacation? Canada.
Canada, they'll have us.
They don't have it.
For
Oh.
toilet tissue paper. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
mm-hmm.
seriously. And what I know is real because we did live through this. It
Hmm.
doesn't take long to create a panic
That's
in
true.
people where
No,
people
it doesn't.
start just buying up
In our
everything,
minds,
just
we're just gonna
losing
be losing our
minds and
minds.
buying up everything. And so I'm wondering, I normally don't shop at Costco because I find it to be an overwhelming and
Hmm.
experience, and it's just a lot of stimulus, and
Hmm.
it's big, and it has a slight odor.
Mm.
Have you noticed that?
Um,
Like,
I'm kind of in it.
Really
I don't
want to
go a
know
lot
that.
like you. I don't go a lot. It's just really the two of us. So
yeah, I should be shopping at Costco with my
yeah,
family.
with the family. Yeah.
Right. But I just don't
Yeah.
like it. It's
I
very
mean,
industrial lot. It's like get
well, I
in
mean, it's a
there.
warehouse,
Yeah,
Chantel.
I
So
just don't. I'm not drawn to
it's
it.
not there for the whole food shopping
Yeah, I'm
experience.
not drawn to
No.
it. But
Food.
something's got to change because, whole check is it's that's, we can't sustain
Well, you
that.
can
I know.
order your toilet tissue from Amazon and they'll deliver it right to your
I'm
house.
trying to, that is true, but I'm trying to change my
Yeah,
relationship a
we're
little
trying
bit with
to, we're
Amazon.
trying to move away.
Mom, we're
But
boycotting out in these streets.
Boycotting. We're trying to
why are you
boycott.
Okay, let
boycotting
me tell you who
Amazon?
well, so I have not been, in all honesty, able to 100% boycott from Amazon, but I have definitely decreased the amount of Amazon packages that are coming to my house. And
Me
I
too.
am only getting stuff that is like, it really just makes life easier for me to get it from Amazon. So
Hmm.
but I have not been to Target. We're boycotting Target,
Wow.
Why?
because
No to Target.
no to Target because Trump has Target has taken away or rolled back their DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion,
Oh,
things that they had standing up in their company to support Black and Brown people, and
mm-hmm.
they have rolled that back. So we are boycotting Target. Costco is one of the good ones, so I really do want to. But
Mm-hmm.
you make a good point because I always forget that I can order from Costco.
You
I
can
always
order.
forget that. So, yeah. So, anyway, stock up on your toilet tissue paper,
That is
especially
used.
if your bums are picky.
Oh God.
Because not every
A
a
delicate,
delicate. Thank you.
a
Not
delicate.
every toilet tissue paper is the same.
Mm.
Some is like tree bark.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, we like the thick. Kyrie is actually very picky about his toilet tissue paper. And it's like the cloud, the extra quilted, as soft as it can get.
I don't know that Kyrie is gonna appreciate you sharing all of that. So I'm gonna move along.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
There
protect
it
my
is.
brother-in-law.
There it is.
Um,
So, yeah. So, anyways, any other thing
oh,
that you want?
okay, I have something that's maybe not news we can use, but it's news that maybe it's need to know, or maybe it falls under hope springs eternal.
I
In
like that.
my
Hope springs eternal.
in my Substack feed, an article came up, written by West Point historian,
Hmm.
um, and I'll send it so maybe we can clip it in the show notes. But basically, what he said is, and it's around it's around Signal Gate, you
Yes.
know, and he said the significance of a highly effective cell operating deep in the Pentagon and National Security Council cannot be overestimated. It's the time-tested clandestine art of the leak to disrupt, humiliate, and expose an opponent's mistakes, to reduce or eliminate their power. And he says, I've been on both sides of this technique. I know it when I see it. The
Hmm.
first leaker alerted the New York Times to the fact that a civilian without security clearance or need to know was being read in on top secret plans to defend Taiwan. The second leak was to the Atlantic by someone who added the editor of the Atlantic using his private cell number on Signal to the text thread of a meeting reportedly at the Palm Steakhouse steps from the White House in a private dining room in Washington. No Navy hamburgers and fries in the White House mess near the secure situation room in the basement for these guys. Absolutely not. The signal text thread just happened to be, as luck would have it, of the vice president, the secretary of defense, and other officials discussing and approving exact times and place of missile attacks on the Houthis' leadership in Yemen. Neither could have happened without a clandestine operation informing and manipulating the media. The
Mm,
repercussions are being felt at this very moment in the Oval Office, where it's all being called a witch hunt.
that's right.
Mm.
And so, what he says in this whole article
Yeah.
is that, like in Watergate, you
Mm-hmm.
had people, deep throat, somebody just say, okay, we got to get the word out.
That's right.
And so he's like, let's have hope that there are people or a person working inside that's leaking this material.
Yeah.
Because he was like, coincidentally, you don't have two leaks to two major news outlets, that one right after the other.
Right.
And both of these news outlets are owned by people who do not have any ties to Trump. And not only that, not Trump can't, the administration can't,
Buy them.
what is it? Yeah, buy them, or even, what's the word?
Right.
Kind of
Manipulate them.
persecute them.
Yeah.
Can't like,
Persecute them.
can't, yeah. There's nothing there. He can't, they don't have a network. So he
Right.
keeps threatening to take away their license.
Right.
These are people who are independently wealthy. The Atlantic is owned by this billionaire times over woman, and then
Mm-hmm.
the Times with another family. So
That
guys,
does have hope spring eternal.
hope is come on, hope. So
Come
if you
Yeah,
on.
keep hope
know
alive.
Keep
somebody,
hope alive.
yeah. And this guy, I was reading the comments, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're absolutely right."
Yes.
In intelligence, and they said
Yes.
this
Keep hope
this
alive.
couldn't be a coincidence. So anyway, I'll send you the article
Please send me
because
that
it was
article. Cherie,
I read.
actually do it right now. Just send it
Oh,
my way
okay. Oh
because
yeah, I'll do it now
yeah.
because
Send it my
I
way.
was just so,
Here, what you like?
oh my God.
Yeah.
Mm,
Send it
yeah.
my way. No,
Okay.
that really is. That is very hopeful. And it actually makes sense what he's saying when you sit back and think about it.
Yeah. Can I just take one more minute and read the three facts? Because I cut it.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
good. Because I don't want to hog. But he says three factors are at play here. First, the exposure of the meetings were not a happy coincidence, the
Mm,
result of a bumbling Secretary of Defense. It was by design. The media became aware of sensitive information by execution of a deliberate plan, not by chance.
mm,
Two, it was extraordinarily effective. It was so well executed that it could only be an insider who meticulously planned the leak for maximum effect. And three, there is silence and mystery around who did it. There
yeah.
is a lack of evidence as to who the specific person is who sourced the information to the press.
Mm-hmm.
It could be attributed to a wide group of informed people. So he's like, these things are
Yes.
lining up. So I read that this morning, and let me tell you, it put a happy step
It
in
put a
my
happy pep
mind.
in your step. No,
It
that
sure
is
did.
hope
It sure
springs
did.
eternal.
It Hope Spring is there. I was like, oh,
This
what
is
is
the
this
type of
feeling?
thing that once we're past this season, praying that we'll be past this season, it will be made into a movie. This incident,
Oh gosh, yeah.
definitely, definitely, this
Yes,
definitely will be
absolutely. It
Absolutely.
will
made
be.
into
It
a
will
movie.
The
be.
whole
Yeah.
I
Trump
mean,
regime.
oh my
Mommy
gosh.
said the whole
The
It
Trump
whole
will
Trump
be.
regime.
You're
regime.
absolutely
Yeah.
right.
I'm not used to my hair being this
Her
flat. It's
hair,
just
if she
too,
can't,
too,
she
I'm used
can't,
to body.
she can't,
It's, it's
she
silky.
can't,
Um,
she
so
can't get
I
with it.
so anyway, yeah, so that was the thing. I think that also brought me joy too.
That, I
Like,
was gonna ask, like, what has brought you joy this week?
oh,
That was gonna be my last question. So
oh,
of our time
I
together.
can
So I'm
wait.
putting
I
that
can
out
wait because
there.
I
Okay.
have
So remember,
I
that's our
looked at my
matter of fact. Let
calendar.
me make sure we have time for that. I
Yes.
think we do. Let's
Yes.
let's go into our topic of the day.
Mom, I need you to stop distracting me. Okay. I don't know what's happening over there.
I didn't even
But you
that?
will not be able to
What's
stay on
going on?
Sisters and Me if you can't sit without messing with your hair. Okay? Or Between Sisters. What is the name of her? Between
Between
Sisters with
sisters.
Cherie, with Chantel and Cherie.
Yes.
Linda, pipe it down.
I didn't even see like what she was doing there. What's going on? Okay. Are we
Oh,
together?
yeah,
I don't do any editing inside of these things. It is what it is, ladies.
I know. So you don't want to be mom. There was mom. You don't want to,
Cherie,
mom. Do you want to be on TV showing up like
Cherie,
that?
Cherie. I'm trying to get used to this.
I know you are. Just leave it Pocahontas and let it be.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
There
No,
you
you
go.
know, here's what I do when I get, because sometimes I get fidgety. I just clamp and then put in my
Okay,
lap.
good. Clamp your
Just
hands
put
like
my
a good
hands together and put
Catholic
them in your
girl.
lap,
Put
and
in
then
your
that
lap.
way,
Put a
it
smile on your
helps.
face. There you go. There you go. Okay.
Because you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna see this. You're gonna see this, mom, and then you're gonna be upset with us for
Right.
letting you look this way. So just
Mm-hmm. And Chantel has said, I don't do any editing on the
yeah,
inside.
she just let you look, honey, any kind of way you're gonna look.
I don't do any editing on
And
the
no,
inside.
no enhancements, nothing. You see, I have my hair covering my jowls today. Okay.
I don't do any editing on the inside. Yes.
Well, I'm glad
Okay.
when I get my real hair back.
But
Oh, Lord. Okay.
don't let
On
Gerald
to
see
the
this.
topic of the day,
Okay. To
Chantel.
the topic of the day, we are going to be talking about trad wives.
Mm,
TRAD
mm,
wives.
mm,
Okay.
mm.
This is something that I never heard of. I was not familiar with this term until a couple of weeks ago. I don't even know how I saw this video. It's a video, I'll link it in the show notes below. It's called What's Behind the Trad Wife Movement by Red, Wine, and Blue.
Yes.
And I just listened to it, and it was not what I thought. Like, it was so informative and shocking. So I wanted to just talk about it. I shared it with you. Did you get a chance to listen to it?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Okay.
I was trying to
So,
find my notes.
and
Uh,
I think it's a really interesting conversation for especially the three of us to have, which I'll
yes.
go into like why I think it's interesting for us to have this conversation. But before I do that, I wanted to just and I took some notes. So if I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking at. I want to just like define what a trad wife
Right. No, it's good to
is.
set the
Okay.
table
Just
again.
set the pace. And feel free to jump in and, correct, add to it. But a
Yeah.
trad wife comes from the term traditional wife.
Oh, okay.
Okay. A traditional wife.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
And they just shortened it to trad.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a trad wife is a wife whose purpose is to really support her husband, her
Mhm.
husband's ministry, her husband's whatever he's focused
Business,
on,
whatever he's
he's focused on. That is really her
Mhm.
primary
Uh-oh. Did we
purpose.
forget?
So she exists to support her husband
Mhm.
and to also support her children. And
Mhm.
so she's a very submissive woman in that way.
Mhm.
She doesn't have agency. A trad wife typically doesn't have agency in the sense that
Just break that down for
her
people.
desires are not what's important or what's esteemed. Her
Mhm.
desires are not what comes into play. Her choices.
Oh, she's submissive.
Right. That's so agency. Trad wives don't in these cultures prioritize education for women because you don't really need higher education to
Support your
support
husband.
your man and to support what he wants to do.
Mhm.
And
Back
so
in the frame, Mom. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
get back in frame. Come get a little closer. Yeah. Okay. And so that is kind of what a trad wife is. She stays home, she's a homemaker, she raises the kids, and she also does so with beauty and no complaint.
Right.
Like no complaining.
Right.
pretty
No
much.
complaining.
No
And
complaining.
and when he walks in the door, everything is in order.
Everything is perfect.
Yes.
Everything is in order. The children are perfect and in order.
Yes.
The house is clean and in order. The food is made from scratch and in order, and all of his needs are kind of met.
The goal is that he experiences no
No
stress
stress
from the home
from
front.
the home. Okay? So this is really interesting
Mhm.
because the three of us are also and have also we housewives,
Right, right,
right?
right. Well, yes, we
Yes,
not
we are
we,
women
we
Yeah.
who
come we
who
working
who
out
work,
work
who
at
stayed at
home.
home. There are periods where we didn't work,
Didn't work.
to
Yep.
stay at home, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so I found this fascinating
Hmm.
because, on the one hand, and for Cherie and I, we're even a little bit step closer to this because we're also women who homeschool.
Yes.
Yes.
And this is very dominant
Mm.
also
And the
within the
bad life.
homeschooling, uh, movement.
And and we're Christians,
And we're Christians.
Yes.
which is very
which
much.
is which is
Oh,
exactly. So
yeah.
I'm thinking, like, how come I don't know this? I also was thinking, have I seen this? Are
Hmm.
there people that I think I'm like, oh, maybe that's what's going on?
Hmm.
But definitely, I just was like, how come I'm not like, oh, like I wasn't aware of this terminology and movement? And also, what as I was listening to this show, they were really talking with former trad wives who broke free of it. And so there's a whole movement on TikTok and on YouTube about trad wives, and it's very kind of glamorous where you have the women and she's dressed in an apron and everything is beautiful and she's making the homemade this and the homemade that. And they said that it's a misrepresentation. So there's almost like this glorified,
Hmm.
romanticized version of what a trad wife is. But what I was really drawn to in this conversation was the connection that they make between trad wives,
Hmm.
which they did, were specific to say a trad wife, what they're talking about is not synonymous with a housewife or a
Right,
woman who chooses to stay at home.
right, right,
Because the fundamental thing that they said is what's different is that the woman doesn't have choice. And when
right.
she said
Oh.
that, that made sense to
Oh.
me because I think for all three of us, we
Hmm.
never felt that we didn't
Didn't
have
have choice.
choice,
Right.
that we didn't have agency. There were
Right.
definite things or reasons as to why we stayed home and made that choice. But
Mhm.
I was never felt without agency, and also was supported by Kyrie, as I know you all were too.
Mhm.
And um so that's like a fundamental difference between how she distinguishes between a trad wife and a homemaker or a housewife or a woman who chooses to stay at home, however they describe themselves. But what I was really fascinated with in this offering is the connection that these ladies made who like were in this culture and then have survived it. They
Mhm.
actually were rescued or ran away from it.
Mhm.
It's the connection that they make between Project 2025 and
Yeah.
the trad wife and what we can learn from it.
Mm.
That was fascinating. I forgot about that, Chantel.
How did
But
you
that was the
forgot about
main
that
thing.
part?
No, you know what? Because I was just thinking about, I was still, my head was still at another element of Tradwise is these women are abused,
Yes.
either emotionally, mentally, or even physically abused.
Mm-hmm.
The statement that just stuck with me, um, but is not more interesting. I wanted the 2025 thing is really interesting, but that wife spanking.
Wife spanking.
I just
Have you
was
heard of
like,
that
oh
one?
my
No.
God. And she
No.
says like
I don't
some
know whether that applied to black women.
so okay. So anyway, anyway, she said
I don't think she had that
she
luxury.
Wife
she,
spanking.
she said she said let me just get my head straight here for a second. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my thought.
You can edit
Anyway,
this, right?
I
she,
don't do any editing on the
she
inside. So
said,
You don't have to
what
do
did she say? Oh Lord, I listen. Just let's go to Project 2025. Evidently, that thing was just so foreign.
no, before we go there, let's talk about this wife spanking,
I mean, it was
which is
crazy to me.
which is one of the things actually the founder of, or I don't know if he was the founder of the church, because I had to do
Oh,
some
this is what I
research.
want to say real
Go
quick,
ahead.
Johnny. Don't let me. She said, you know how the trad women get together and exchange recipes?
Yes.
The guys get together and talk about in these situations, how do you control your woman?
How do
How do
you
you,
control
and they
and
talk about the
tame your
wife speaking.
woman?
And I was just
Yes.
appalled. I
The
was just
wife spanking. And I said, is that a real thing? So, wife
that's
spanking is something that is really promoted by Douglas Wilson, who is with the Communion of Reformed Evangelical Church, also known as CREC. Okay. We'll come back to that in a little bit. But he promotes wife spanking as this is like what you should
I've
do.
never heard of that.
I never heard of it either, as a way to control and tame and correct your wife. Because one of the things that's in this trad culture is that wives are kind of, they're not on the level as the husband. They're a level, maybe a step of children, right? Of what you would think of
hmm hmm
children, and so men are instructed on how to spank your wife. And because I'm like, is this a physical spank that they're talking about? And
What's your source? What's your sourcing on this? I mean, what's your
so what I actually, and I will link the articles that I read. So there's an article that was in NPR
Oh,
that, so I, you know, NPR, and actually, oh my gosh, what's his name? Russell Moore. Oh, well, that's a whole other kind of connection that I want to kind of jump into as
oh
well.
Lord.
But there was an article in NPR. There was an article actually in Christianity Today, as well. And so I'll link these articles below that talked about like this wife spanking. And apparently
Wow.
it's
I've never heard of that.
I never heard of that either. But this is the thing. I'm wondering if did we not hear about it because we were in the black church formatively?
Maybe because I mean I can't imagine
I
any of the
can't
churches that
imagine.
I was part of. I
Right.
can you
You know
imagine?
what? You know what happened in Color Purple? You told Harpo to beat me. I mean,
See,
honestly, it would be so many. You told Harpo to beat me.
what you tried to do to me?
See?
We
I
come back,
already come
back
back
to
to
you.
you. Exactly. Like
Oh,
then it gets to
imagine.
like, I wish he would. Okay, try
Right,
to. You're
right.
gonna
Oh
spank
my
me. I mean,
goodness.
honestly, I just don't.
I can't
I
imagine
don't
it.
know. But that was just it's a thing, right? It's a thing. So yeah, so that was really disturbing, and I do agree to you that another kind of way we can that I like, oh, the trad wife is an abused wife. It's just abuse. But it was so interesting how ingrained it
I
was in
know.
their culture that they don't even know they are abused.
I know.
That's
Like,
really
like
interesting.
I know, and it really does now help me understand how sometimes it's difficult for women to get out of
Mhm.
these abusive situations because they don't know it's
They don't
they're
know it's abuse.
because it's part of the ecosystem that
Yeah.
they're living in.
They don't know it's abuse. It's part of their
It's
ecosystem.
Mm.
And another thing, she says, it is a system that's prescribed to everyone. And the protection is towards the system and not the individual.
Well,
And I thought
mm,
that was very interesting.
Yeah.
So if that's there's nowhere for you to go. Even if you think like this is wrong, you know, that inner voice in you,
Mm-hmm.
Holy Spirit,
Right.
like
Right.
whatever you want to call it.
Right.
If there's nowhere for you to go to even confirm your reality,
Right.
it makes it very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that that she said is that it's a highly controlled, limited belief system.
Mm.
It's a highly controlled
Mhm.
and limited belief system. And that's the prescription. Like, that's it. And I love the fact that she was nuanced by saying, it's not that there weren't good things here. It's good to bake bread. It's good to have a clean house. It's
Mm-hmm.
good to be like, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not like these things are inherently bad. You know what I mean? That the task or the actions that
Mm-hmm.
the wife is doing. But that's what's so like it's insidious, you
Well,
know.
it's consistent with how the enemy works, taking something good, taking something that is a naturally a good thing. So, for
Mhm.
example, it is not having an inordinate desire for power and authority, inordinate being the word, disordered desire for
Mhm.
that is the exploitation, right, or the perversion of God's original intent, which was man. I created you to till the earth, right? So change the contours of the earth, make it more fruitful, and I've given you naming authority over all the animals and species, right?
Right.
So that's
Mm-hmm.
authority.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually God given for the creation, for man's participatory creation to work with the Lord and creating goodness, justice, peace, beauty, all the
Right.
goodness.
All the
Mm-hmm.
things.
Then we come in, the enemy, and we pervert that.
Mhm.
Now it's like I want to control.
Yeah.
I want to control whatever I think I can should control.
Mhm.
Not for good, not under the authority of God. And so it's this power grab, and that segues into the Project
Exactly.
2025. This power is
Power
the
grab.
same, Chantel, it's the same impetus, whatever, to control and
Mhm.
dominate.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, we've seen this long struggle, right? Throughout history with women. I think one of the things
Mm-hmm.
that I was happy that they pointed out was how women are the ones that keep this patriarchy going. Like how we're involved in it, how we're groomed, how they are mentored
Mm-hmm.
into that, and how you're in or out. If you're a woman that's not living in this way, you're actually, you know, kind of kicked out of the group. You're ostracized,
Mm-hmm.
and your
Mm-hmm.
family kind of suffers. And I was reading a book, Mommy. So I think it was 1937 that Zora Neale Hurston came out with
Yeah.
Their Eyes Are Watching
Oh yes,
God,
their eyes was watching God.
and which was a quite provocative
Mm-hmm.
book for that day. And I'm reading it with the girls. We just wrapped it up, and it was very interesting, like their take, you
Mm-hmm.
know, on it.
I would love to hear their take on that.
Well, their take was what Leela says, her kind of like first overall thing is, I'm so happy that I know God. That was, and that he loves me was the thing. And they were very like frustrated that Janie, who's the main character in this work, didn't have any agency.
Uh,
You know, you just always saw her going along with the man. There were the one man in her life, the one she loved, where there was the most promise, the one that most people, if they read the book, will know, Tea Cake.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Tea Cake wasn't all bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was a man of his time. She was a woman of her time.
Mm-hmm.
But Tea Cake says this line. He says, "Oh, she'll go wherever I want to go and do whatever I want to do."
oh.
And he said that with such confidence. But the fact of the matter is, it was truth.
Mm-hmm.
That was her truth.
Yeah.
And she was like, what love felt like to her was even having a man to go and do all the things. Like how having a man validated her in that way, right? Validated her. But you also see one of the things they notice, if he would have just listened to her, because she did offer like some advice, like don't do this, or this storm is coming, we should leave. The Native Americans are leaving. The birds are leaving. The reptiles are all leaving. We should leave. And he did not listen. He never was able to listen to her or take any advice, and it results into him, dying. And so there was this act of violence. And I believe she loved this man, and I think that he loved her, right? But it actually had to be a ridiculous situation. A dog on top of a cow in a flood. That's a dog on top of a cow in a flood is actually what saves her. A ridiculous situation. And it saved her in a sense because the dog bites him and he gets rabies and she has to shoot him and kill him.
What?
And that's what happens. Sorry if you read the book. For people, read the book. Their Eyes Watching Out. It's an excellent book. But that's the kind of what happens. But
That
also,
was a theme, yeah,
yeah,
of mules and men,
yes, it's this theme of, what the desires of the woman wants is like, I want to be able to have a place. I want to be able to do these things that like to show up in this way, to be a woman in this way, right? To have a marriage in which I want to do it. But I'm so controlled. Every man that she was with controlled what color clothes she wore by just them saying, I like you, I like the color blue on you. And what she did was, I'm only going to wear blue. One man was like, I like your hair up. Her hair was up the whole time. TK came, I like your hair down. Her hair was down the whole time. So I think it's like, we've seen through time, and Mom, I would be interested in like how what was normal for women, and like when you were young and dating, and or you all were kind of getting married, and I don't know, like was it the 50s, the 50s, the 50s,
the 50s for me,
which was kind of a turning point, right?
Yeah,
socially in our country. So how?
Well, naturally, every woman wants to dress where she can flatter her man. That's she wants to look good for him and whatnot, and he wants to look good for her too, because the way he was dressing. But the control part, I guess, because I never saw it in my home.
Okay.
No, I was sitting serious.
You didn't control Sally.
No.
So I didn't
But
know.
was that more the norm, or did you know of like other neighbors or relatives who were more submissive, like more submissive than grandma?
Not really.
Wow.
Grandmommy didn't have those. I mean, I know some of Grandmommy's friends. That block of women, no, they weren't.
You understand, Cherie?
Yeah.
No,
I lived there
I
when Dad was in Vietnam. They weren't being controlled.
No.
They
Uh-uh.
uh-uh.
And you know what? I'm gonna have to say this, and I don't know whether I should say it on air.
Oh Lord.
But women of color are not as submissive. We were not offered that privilege.
Of being submissive. Is that
That's her nice word.
oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
No.
You're right, Mom. The way you're framing that
didn't.
is when we hear a stay-at-home mom, someone able to stay at home, not work, just take care of the family, keep everything. we actually saw that as a privilege. Like, let my husband make enough money, have that opportunity
Mm-hmm.
where I can stay at
At
home. We
home.
don't associate domination or that kind of foot on one's neck, if you
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
um as yeah, it to many women of color it is a privilege, although we know there are many women of color that were controlled like that. So I don't, I do think it's situational,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
what you've learned and so forth, but
And also a generational blessing.
generate right, and that's
'Cause we
it.
don't even have
We
the
don't have
expect.
that
It's
in
so
our
foreign.
right.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, because there wasn't the level of, maybe, I think you have to almost be isolated within a system to
Hmm.
carry that forth. And I don't know, given the history of Black women in particular in this country, we were afforded that much, maybe isolation, afforded that
Right.
opportunity, so isolated from other experiences
Hmm.
because of having to work, because of having to do different things.
Right.
So I don't know. And then you also had the church, which was very, very, and the way Black churches
Right.
versus
Right.
church, which we you and I have experienced. I mean,
Hmm.
we were told even in our church that, well, you guys can get away with certain
Yes.
things. You're.
Yes. Because
So, and we never knew what we were getting
we
away
didn't know
with.
what we were
We
getting
didn't know
away
what that
with.
was, some of that stuff was.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you were told that, I
I was
think.
told
Well,
that by now I have the language to know, oh, this is what you were. This is
Yeah, yeah.
and
I
there
think
was
that for
awareness of my friend to know I, I'm in a system. I think she was raised in a system and was homeschooled,
sure.
evangelical church.
mm-hmm.
And then I thought she wanted to get out, and I thought she was getting out, but she landed in a system that actually the packaging looked different,
Mm-hmm.
but inside the packaging was the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because the same kind of things that I saw happen to her was the same things that happened to these women when she got out of it and broke away from it. What they said about her, she's crazy,
Mm-hmm.
unhinged,
Mm-hmm.
all of these things, just discrediting her character and her mental capacity and ability. And she was very controlled. She had these women mentors that would teach her basically like how to submit more and more and more. And with everything, she was the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And she was causing stress, which leads to harm to her husband. So it's always like, how can you cause him less stress? How
Mm-hmm.
can you, do more? And it's just do more prayer and kind of make yourself smaller and smaller and
Mm-hmm.
smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like you're walking on eggshells all the time.
Yeah, because you're trying to make your husband feel so secure and easy
Yeah.
and whatnot,
Yeah.
so.
It's really
Mm-hmm.
kind of fascinating. Another thing that they brought up, which I have not done as much thinking about, but I definitely want to, is this whole notion of toxic empathy. Okay.
I think
Toxic.
we're gonna have to have another
I know
conversation
we
on
are,
this.
but let me just bring up let me just
What
say
is
it was a
that?
whole lot. It was a whole lot.
Like, you're
Toxic
right. That
empathy
toxic.
is something that, so empathy is when emotions are moving, right? You
Mm-hmm.
you you
Right.
see someone, you experiencing someone, and your emotions move,
Right.
Right.
for that person or for that thing. And so when emotions are moved, it causes you or can cause in you to change your mind, right?
Oh, I remember
To
this
change
part
your
of the
Yes,
perspective.
conversation.
yes,
Yes.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yes. And
yes.
so they're seeing that. So in the church, in the evangelical church, this new evangelical church, there is this thing that they're preaching on toxic empathy. And they're
So
teaching things that the thing that they said is what they're teaching is, here's an example of what's healthy empathy. Healthy empathy is to them, if you see someone drowning, you can say to them, oh, it's really sad that you're drowning. I'm so sorry that you're drowning.
I'll pray for you.
I'll pray for you
Are you
that
serious?
you're drowning. That is what is considered to be healthy empathy, the right form of empathy. If you try to save them or help them from drowning, I see, oh man, you're drowning. Let me help you.
Yeah.
Let me throw you a rope. Let me call for help.
Yeah.
That's considered toxic empathy. And the rationale is because that person who's drowning might just be getting a consequence for his sin or her sin.
Gee.
So you might be getting in the way of the work that the Lord is doing in that person's life by saving them.
Which is
This is
consistent thought process when you think about how the poor are treated.
correct. So what was happening with the Black Lives Movement, okay, what was happening is that I think some of these wives were beginning to get some empathy that they couldn't handle, right? That they couldn't handle. And so what started to happen in the churches and from the pulpit was shaming empathy. It's toxic and it's shamed. It's actually wrong. I'm teaching them that it's sinful, actually, the way in which you're going about. Because as she said, their empathy was creating in them making different choices. And that was what they don't want to happen. And then she says that what's being kind of talked about is that Jesus was too liberal and Jesus was weak.
my.
So I had to look this up because I'm like, I can't imagine. I'm not saying the woman isn't telling the truth, but it's a lot in this one video and it's all hard to imagine. You understand?
Oh, I know.
Listen to it.
I know.
So I looked this up. And that's when I got to an article that I am linking from Christianity Today. And Russell Moore, so it's a credible source for me,
Yes.
okay, spoke about it. And the title of the article on August 10th, 2023, okay, the title of the article is Evangelicals Call Jesus Liberal and Weak.
Chantel, yeah, yes, I heard him. I actually was at a talk that he gave, and I heard him say that. It was shocking. He quoted some of the scriptures, and then people were like, "Well, where did you get that from?"
This is
It
what
was
was in
like
the
the Sermon on the
article.
Mount. Where did you get that
Now,
from?
the Sermon on the Mount,
And
yes.
he was like, the Bible, Jesus.
Yes.
That- that-
Yes.
Well, that's not for this time. Jesus, all eternal Jesus, creator of all the hills, all the universe. It's not for this time.
Yes.
Outside of time, it's not. It's just ridiculous. It's so crazy.
That is exactly what was stated pretty much in this article. And it was shocking to me because I've never,
I know.
it's shocking to me, but it also kind of explains how, again, it's that limited, controlled. So you're not supposed to care for the poor. Your good thing is, oh, I'm sorry they're poor, but I don't have any responsibility to my fellow
Because they may be poor because of the poor choices
because
they
of the
made.
poor choices that they made. That's
And
why that's not why they're poor. And so this got them then transitioning into the connection between this type of mindset and Project 2025, okay? Which for the trad wives, they're like, Project 2025 has been happening in their world, okay? They've been living Project 2025. And I found it fascinating that one of the guests said, she says that Project 2025, it is a long game. They've been planning this for over 50 years. There are brilliant minds behind the planning. And I know, Cherie, you've done some research behind the minds of Project 2025 and can agree probably with that.
Brilliant minds.
And she said that through the years, the names have changed, but the goals have always been the same. So it was the religious right, which moved into the Tea Party, which is now Christian nationalists. The labels change, but the goal is the same. And the goal that this woman said was the goal of Project 2025 is a frightening goal to me. I don't know if you remember this. I'm going to remind you of what she says that their goal is.
What's the...
To get men into the sector and to get women out of the sector, to get women out of places of power, out of places of power. So basically, to put men where they're supposed to be, to put women back where they're supposed to be. And she said, and to have enslavement.
Oh,
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she says,
Oh,
law
my.
by law,
They
that's
are.
what their plan
Oh,
is. Okay. And she says, what they do is they use a lot of distraction, all of this stuff that's distracting, and then they're putting in place these laws and systems. And that's what she says happens in a trad wife. You're so distracted and exhausted by having to keep up appearances, having a smile on your face. Also, they are trained, literally trained. I watched another video where they're trained to talk in a childlike voice. Remember how, Cherie, we're like,
Wondered
why are
about that.
people
What is
talking so breathy? And
right? Because I know
I'm
you.
like,
You don't speak like
right,
this.
why are you
Where's you
speaking
talk?
pubescently?
But then, or everything is on a no, like it's a question. Like
Yes.
everything,
Like,
you know,
question.
or language. I wonder, or perhaps, or you know, and like it's like no, you know, it's
I
why.
understand.
And remember, it was in the because Mom, there was a black woman
Yes,
who
yes, there
apparently
are black
caught up
trans
a little
women.
bit in that. But she
Yeah.
was one of the she was
Yeah.
interviewing this lady, and she said, "Can you explain the breathy voice? Like I've never, because she didn't lose her blackness enough to get to be able to go to that. She may have been a trad wife, but there was
Right.
like I guess some
There were
limitations that
some limitations.
she
She
had.
wasn't able to
And,
fully adopt maybe the
so
tradness.
she was wondering about that, and I just was like, yeah, the whole
We've always wondered about it.
we have.
But we didn't know, like, I mean, it's kind of like, oh, or it's so many, but we didn't know, like, no, that's a conditioning. That's how you are. And I'm just going to do a little sideways segment here because I just finished reading this book called Butter. And it's a Japanese book. And it's a Japanese, it's a feminist book. It's a Japanese feminist book. And basically, and it's set in modern times, okay? And you have these different women and you see how the cultural norms of women and what validates a woman, which is get married, have children, come back home, right? And basically you're subservient to your husband and your children. But also the big thing that this book focuses on is the relationship between food and women in Japanese culture. It's very fascinating.
Wow.
It's very
I have
fascinating.
to read this book. Did you get a hard copy?
I will lend you my copy. Yeah, it's very fascinating. And so in Japanese culture, you know, the thin is in. Okay, thin is in. And they talked about the influence of anime too on the culture because anime really kind of highlights the pubescent woman. So what the men want is that childlike pubescent schoolgirl, you know, woman. So it talks about in this book how you're trained to make sure your voice doesn't fully mature and change.
And it's probably why you're starving yourself.
No, they were like, I am starving. This character, I am starving. So she goes on this journey. You'll read the book. She starts eating food and she starts to put on a little bit of weight. It's not a whole lot of weight, but it's enough in that culture where her boyfriend is like, oh, I see you put a little bit of weight. And he starts to help her, right? Help her by saying, maybe you shouldn't eat that. Or less rice or stuff like that. But then when they are physical with one another, then he's like, well, wait a second. I like this. I like this little bit of weight. I like this little bit of weight. And so even like in different, it's like the same kind of thing, but it's very kind of this controlling here.
Mm.
that they have. And what she says is, if you want to look at what they're trying to do, all you have to do is look at what they're doing in a traditional trad family. So, in a traditional trad family, there's no healthcare contraceptives. In a
Oh.
traditional child family, there's no child care. In a traditional trad family, the women do not have careers. In a traditional child family, women have no agency. That the big kind of choices are, they don't get to choose what they want to do. In a traditional trad family, this one I'm just rubbing mom's hand. I'm about to say this.
Let me
I
grab my
rub your hand too. Rub your hand
let
too.
me grab my gratitude walk so I can be
There you
happy.
go.
I'm not in a traditional.
There
I
you
have to
go.
remember
There
this
you
isn't
go.
me.
In a traditional trad family, women don't vote.
What? That's right. I'm
They
saying what like
don't
So
they
women really
don't
don't exist.
they don't vote.
mommy
They
says that they don't
only
exist.
they only will have them vote if it's like, hey, we need the masses, and they vote for what the men vote. So do you remember, because I remember seeing coverage of this, and it was so crazy to me, I didn't like pay as much attention. I didn't know what it like, it didn't make sense in my world, where when Kamala was running and the women started saying that they were going to vote in secret. Do you
Right. Oh,
remember
and
that?
lie and
And
lie. They were
lie.
like, ladies lie. No one
Ladies
can know
lie
what's
about the
in the
vote.
clock.
Well, that stuff got shut down.
Wow.
Yes, they don't vote. To vote against your husband is to like one of the biggest offenses. It's like you are splitting your household.
Oh, that's right. I remember. And they use that whole language of a house
A
divided.
house
And
divided.
take that scripture and then
Yes.
they just corrupt it.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
but
So
like
when
the
you
corruption
so
of the
she
word of the
said
Lord.
there's something that they're trying to do now, which is they're going after women's voting rights. You're going to start to see, because what they want is women are in the home, women don't have agency, women are back in their place. Make America great again. Women are back in their place.
Chantel, this is
Colored
so
people are in their place, and
the,
white men, white land owning,
straight.
heterosexual straight men are in their dominant throne seat place.
You know, this is such an really important let me pull it up very quickly. What you're saying, so this voting thing, Jordan just wrote an op-ed that she's trying to put in, and it's about a bill in Maryland because the Republicans are creating all this chaos, and so they're stopping the bill, the voting rights to enshrine voting rights in the state of Maryland. Um, they're kind of stopping, preventing yeah, this bill to move forward. And it's SB 342, Voting Right Act of 2025, and it's in on the floor, but the Maryland Democrats are getting all spun out.
Right,
This is news you can use. Like
right,
Marylanders need to be calling their
right.
state legislators because this bill may not pass in this legislative session.
Wow.
All right. And this marks the second year that this bill has been introduced by Baltimore County Senator Charles Sidnor. And the Republicans are just trying to what is it? What do you call when you're um they're just creating a whole lot of delay, all
Yeah,
these
yeah,
unnecessary questions. So that session will run out. As we know,
yes,
April 7th is the end of session. And so if they can't get it out of the House over to the Senate and they can't reconcile it and get something to the governor,
right.
it doesn't enshrine voting rights.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm,
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
That's, you know,
fascinating.
So when
Yes.
you say that, I'm like, oh yeah,
Yes.
this part
She's
wrote it.
like, follow all of the distractions. She's like, it's exactly what they do with the women. They distract us. We're exhausted. We can't keep up pace. And meanwhile, it's just more and more controls are coming place. She has this thing, and I'm gonna leave with this quote because I've got to run.
Okay.
But we've
Can
been
I
going
do
for a
one
good
more
minute.
use we can use, and then you can run very
Yes, we're gonna
quickly?
leave with some joy, some news you can use. And
Okay,
I'm gonna close
you
with
can
this.
use reason of joy,
I'm
but
gonna, I'm
this
gonna, I'm gonna close with this. Okay, you go do. I'm gonna say
this
mine.
isn't joy more. This isn't joy.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
Executive order by President Trump was announced that would require the Election Assistance Commission to change national voter registration standards to require documentary proof of citizenship to register to vote, puts a regressive burden on the state by forcing them to require documentary proof of citizenship
Oh my
and
God.
require them to cease counting mail ballots received after Election Day. This is the executive order.
Yep,
Can you imagine?
yep. So here's what I am saying. We need to listen to these trad wives who are out
Yeah.
here talking. I'm
Yeah.
going to be doing more listening because from basically what they're saying, hey guys, we have a different level of intel here because we've lived it.
Yeah.
We know it. And she said their only vision for the future is backwards in the past. Their
Mm.
vision is a backwards vision of what we've come through.
Yeah.
And that resonates true for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
That
true.
resonates
Yeah.
true for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So are you saying that people need to carry their birth certificate around with them?
No, I'm saying we gotta fight this, fight the oligarchy.
We
We
got to
got
fight the oligarchy, y'all. We have to fight the oligarchy. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. This has been great. We're gonna end with some joy, some good things. I know, Cherie, I'm gonna let you go first because you have.
okay, joy. Okay, I looked at my calendar this week because I did have a lot of joy, and I'll be very quickly. I did joy. I turned 60 on the 25th.
Yay!
Yay. Oh, I hung out. I met a new person and I really enjoyed her energy. So I met a new person that we're forming a friendship. So
That's
that was
That's
wonderful.
joy.
wonderful.
Wednesday, I hung out. Oh wait, not that wasn't Wednesday. Wednesday I got to work on my sermon. But Thursday, I hung out with mom at the Wilshire and we had a function. What is it? A
Function in
junction
the
at the
junction.
function?
You had a function in the junction.
Yes. And I was dancing. I should have been working on my sermon and I was dancing to Rick James and look, and we just had a ball. So I love that.
Mhm.
That is
That
great.
was my joy. Joy, joy, joy.
That is great. Joy, joy,
Yes,
joy. Mom,
yes,
what's
yes,
your
yes.
joy?
My joy was having to be able to spend time with you and with Cherie this week.
Mm-hmm.
That was truly joyful for
Yeah.
me.
I know I'm joy. You're joy too.
You know,
Yeah.
I
Joy.
mean,
Joy,
how
joy.
often do I get to, see
Oh, now quite a
All
bit.
the time. All the
I
time.
said with-
She gets to have this all the
I
time. Let's
said
be
within
real.
the same week. You didn't hear. I said within the same week.
Yeah, see, we are not trad wives. See,
Right,
here we are.
right.
Yes, that's joy.
Mhm.
That's joy. Well, joy for me, this is a collective joy, and Mom, you don't know this yet, but this morning, our cousin Patrice,
That's right.
Uncle's youngest, and Uncle Lee's youngest, is now Dr. Patrice Mintz.
What?
Yes.
Were able to watch her dissertation, right? Defensive
Yeah, that was
dissertation.
amazing. Amazing.
And we were able to be there
Oh,
on the
wow.
thing on the Zoom with her, and so she is Dr. Patrice
Oh,
Mintz, and
that-
that was just such a joy.
That's truly
To be
that was
able
joy
to
overflowing.
It was really
And to
great.
be with all the
And
cousins
to be with
doing
the
it.
cousins, yes. So that was
Wow.
great, and all of the all of
Oh
the
my.
personalities and everything. So that was a lot of
Oh,
joy
that's special.
that we had, and it
Now
is our.
we gotta get Keisha,
We are gonna
and
have
we'll
to
be
get
on the
Keisha and
podcast.
Little Lee on the podcast, absolutely, and absolutely. And it is our joy to be able to be here and
Yes.
celebrate with you,
Yeah.
Mom. And
Oh, it's
87. I got to get that
what am I?
87.
87.
87. You're 87. Cherie did the math with us. So, what's one tip of wisdom? Because you're fabulous at 87. So, any wisdom as your birthday present to the world?
I think the most important thing is that you just be true to yourself. That way you can be true to others.
Mm,
Oh, I love it.
I love that.
Oh, be
I
true to
love that.
yourself so you can be true to others.
Others.
Mom, that is the golden rule. Love others as you would love yourself, right?
Yeah.
But you got to cherish yourself.
That's
Uh-huh,
right. That's
uh-huh.
right. That's
Well,
right.
Yeah.
be able to love
That's
well.
right.
Yeah, I
That's a
love
good
that.
word.
That's such a
On
good
that
word.
note, we will leave it with Mom having that last word of wisdom. I received that from you.
Okay.
Thank you so
Me
much for
too.
hanging
Well,
out with
thank
us,
you.
Mom.
I
I'm
thank
glad
you.
that
I
you
thank you. You make me
were
feel
able to.
special.
Yes,
So much
it
fun.
was fun. It was fun.
That was a
And
lot of fun.
thank you guys for hanging out, joining this sisterhood, the sister circle. We want you to be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Help our channel grow. And we will see you next week. We're just so happy that
Let's
we
say
get
one
another tape here.
Yes, and one thing, when you like and subscribe and click, you can actually put us on, listen to the full thing. That helps us
right.
cook your dinner, clean your house,
Yes.
go to sleep to us, whatever.
Yes.
Just let it run the entire
Let it
time.
run. Let it run, y'all. Let it run. All right.
All right,
I'll see you
ciao.
later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.